Hello folks, it is time for another bit of a ranty video, and this one I'm going to do raw and from the hip. I've just gotten back from doing my lessons for the day, teaching folks about none other than Sengoku period Japan. It was a very lovely day that we had together, and if you are a student, hello, thank you for coming to the channel. I hope I don't traumatize you. So this game came up today in our lecture, and we brought it up and tried to discuss quite why it's coming out and why it's controversial. Now, I'm not going to get into the fact that Yasuke, who is a central character of this game, is a historical figure, because he is, right? I'm not going to... The one thing I don't like about bad faith arguments online is that people try and paint this as some sort of race baiting issue, where they say, you know, you can't say Yasuke never existed because he did. No. We're not saying that, okay? What we're saying is that he's very vague in who he is, where he comes from, and what he does. And the issue that people are having here is that when you set a Assassin's Creed game in Egypt, you have an Egyptian protagonist, and nobody batted an eyelid. Everybody was very accepting of that, and Bayek of Siwa was a very cool character. When you set one in ancient Greece, you had Cassandra and Alexios, who are very Mediterranean-looking people who look like they're chiseled out of stone. Again, no one bats an eyelid. And once more, in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, we had another set of lantern-jawed leading people from Northern Europe. Fair enough. The minute we go to Japan, though, all of a sudden it's not okay to have an actual accurate representation of who people are in a country. And I really like the fact that there is a bemusing amount of lack of self-awareness with Ubisoft when they say, we want representation of all kinds, and it's very important to us that we represent all of our cultures that we have in our games with respect. You know, the normal woke thing, the normal, you know, diversity and inclusion thing, until we have a black protagonist here, and this person gets to go to a country that is not theirs and gets to chop apart every single person they see within a 10-mile radius if they want to. They look 3 or 4 feet larger than the largest Japanese person there. It is basically a power fantasy where you are running around and chopping up Japanese people. Now, I have no problem with something like that in, say, Ghost of Tsushima, where you're running around and having a go at the invaders who are Mongolian, because that's historically accurate, and it's accurate that we actually have, you know, a Japanese samurai going out there and breaking their code to try and save their home. They're in their own country. It works. It baffles me to the core how people do not see the controversy here in allowing somebody, whether they're white or black, it doesn't matter, somebody from a non-Japanese background walking into Japan and murdering everybody. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the issue here. It's a complete lack of respect for Japanese culture. And the one main issue that I want to get to in this video is I don't think this would have been as much of a big deal if we didn't already have Ghost of Tsushima on the market. Because Ghost of Tsushima is on the market, and it is made by a Western audience. It's made by a Western studio, and they went into that game with the utmost respect and research done on Japanese history, politics, and culture. They even went to Tsushima on more than one occasion and spent months there researching, getting into the nooks and crannies of the local folklore. Most of the tales you hear about in Ghost of Tsushima that you can go and partake in are actual tales from Tsushima that people still talk about now, right? That is why that game was so successful. That is why it was so celebrated by Japanese people. And that is why the actual developers of that game are ambassadors for Tsushima now. That is how much Japanese people will embrace you if you try to do their culture right. If you make an honest attempt to make something cool based in their country. They will love you forever, and you will be invited in as part of their creative process going forwards. Instead, what Ubisoft did was an arrogant about-face where they stride in and they say, why would we want a Japanese samurai? Why would we want to do that? Huh? Why didn't we get this black dude, right? And why didn't we make the entire, soundtrack rap music? That'd be really cool. That'd get everybody interested in Japanese culture. No, it's nonsense. It's absolute tone-deaf nonsense. And the one thing I wanted to cover, mainly in this video, is talking about why this game is happening now, and why, if you want proof that this lot generally don't know what they're doing, I would like to point you towards Ghost of Tsushima. I would like to point you towards that game. If any developer worth their salt looks around the world, right, and looks at what's going on in the gaming landscape, if you're somebody who makes Assassin's Creed-like games, like, say, you're Ubisoft, the one kind of game you do not want to be making in the wake of Ghost of Tsushima is a game like Ghost of Tsushima. It's very simple. You do not want to make that game. You don't. Because comparisons are going to be made and you're going to fall flat on your face. Now, here's the thing with me. Here's the thing. It shows how much Ubisoft do not respect you or your opinion or your brain. Because they think you will buy Assassin's Creed Shadows after playing Ghost of Tsushima and go, yeah, this is fine. We'll devour this just as it is because, we don't have brains. So that's just what we're going to do. They are tone deaf and they think you're stupid. They think either you're stupid or you've never played Ghost of Tsushima before in your life. And I've had this argument with a friend of mine when he said, well, they've got every right to make whatever game they want. Yeah, of course they do. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to say this is not an idiotic thing to do. Taking one of the most maligned, ridiculous gameplay design philosophies that is Assassin's Creed, looking at that, not changing it at all, taking it to feudal Japan, when we've already seen it done 10 times better in Ghost, then injecting your own bullshit modern politics into it, by making, the lead character be black and not of the race that is in the game, because, I don't know, do you have some sort of insane fetish for murdering people that are not of your own culture? I have no idea. And also, making him homosexual. It ticks all the boxes. If you literally said to me, what was the most tone-deaf thing you can do to ensure the next Assassin's Creed fails at launch, do you know what I would have said to you? If you said to me, North, I want the next Assassin's Creed to fail bad at launch. Critically, I want it to fail across the board. I want fans to hate it. Right, build that game for me, please. I would make Assassin's Creed Shadows. I would say, ignore the fact that Ghost of Tsushima exists, right? Make an Assassin's Creed game in feudal Japan. Make feudal Japan look just like England in Valhalla, and it does. Japan in this game looks like England in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It looks no different. No different whatsoever. Maybe one or two of the buildings, obviously architecture looks different, but the actual land itself does not look like Japan. You play Ghost, you know exactly where you are. You take one look around at the armors, at the people, at the buildings, at the landscapes, at the weather systems, the way that everything works. You know where you are. Look at Assassin's Creed Shadows, you could be in Devon somewhere, and no one could tell the fucking difference, right? Now, I would make this game. If you told me to make a game that drove off most of the fans, you've told me to make a game that was going to sell to the casuals, but was going to tarnish the legacy of Assassin's Creed even more, I would make this. I'd say ignore Ghost of Tsushima, let's blindly set this next Assassin's Creed in feudal Japan, right? Rather than just taking the L, no. We'll double down, right? Then we'll make the actual protagonist, or the main one, black and not Japanese at all. Then we'll make him 10 foot tall. Then we'll make him beat up on and murder as many Japanese people as possible, and then we'll fill the entire thing with rap music, and then we'll make him gay. That is Assassin's Creed Shadows, and that is why I'm making this video. It's a fucking farce. And I've said this for years. Years before they ever came out with this advertisement, with this game. Years before. I've said it to every single one of my friends who likes gaming. After I played Ghost of Tsushima, I said, right, the Samurai Ubisoft game is dead. It's dead. They cannot do a game in feudal Japan for the next 10 years, and that's if Ghost 2 never comes out, right? And Ghost 2 will come out, and we'll shit all over this game, by the way. Because it will, because Sucker Punch know what they're doing, and they're an amazing developer, right? Who've learned from their mistakes not Injustice, what's it called? What's it called? I don't know, the superhero game. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about, right? There were mistakes made in those games, but you can see the design aspects of those games in Ghost, but they're more refined. Absolutely, they learn from their mistakes and they grow and they get better. Ubisoft don't. Ubisoft don't care about your opinions. They don't care about you. They want you to go like a good little piggy, stick your trout in the trough, your snout in the trough, and drink. Eat the slop that they're providing for you, right? It doesn't matter how many of these snazzy movies they come out with. This game, for most fans who like Assassin's Creed, will be fucking dead on arrival. Okay? I've said it since Ghost came out. Since summer 2020, the first 3 or 4 hours of playing Ghost, I said, right, I know there's rumours that you know, Assassin's Creed will go to Japan to do samurai and ninjas and stuff at one stage. I'm telling you now, it's over. They can't. Not for the next 10 years at least. And that's if you hope that Ghost 2 doesn't come out either. But they did it anyway. They did it anyway because they're tone deaf. And I would argue that rather than the cultural and nonsense, you know, controversies that they've installed into their own games, by purpose, by the way, with Yasuke and characters like him in this game, that shows that they're tone deaf. But the best way I can show you how tone deaf they are, they know Ghost of Tsushima exists, and they made this game anyway. That's how tone deaf Ubisoft are. They don't respect you. They don't respect your money. They don't respect anything that you have to say about the games and what good games actually are. They're going to give you the same swill, the same fucking drivel, and they'll expect you to pay for it. This is the same company who, for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right, they were supposed to have a female protagonist. And instead of just, you know, doubling down and doing that, they installed a male protagonist in there as well. But here's the thing. Ivor, in that game, the male Ivor is the same size as the female Ivor, which means if you play a male Ivor, you're essentially playing a fucking midget. You're essentially playing a guy who is towered over by his Viking friends. You feel like Napoleon. It's ridiculous. They couldn't even be bothered to code in a part of the game when they say, yeah, if you're a dude, you're the same size dude as everybody else, because it looks ridiculous, this really small person with little flimsy arms killing people several times their size. I completely understand and get why you would have female protagonists, but make them fight in a different way. Make them fight in a way that makes use of their smaller stature and size. Having the same Viking, male and female, different sizes, fighting the same way is ridiculous and is lazy and is Ubisoft to a T. This is what they do. They are morons, and this is how they make games. They don't respect you or the brain that's in your skull. Look at the size difference of this guy, walking in with a mace. Just walking in, yeah, kill everybody, yeah, no problem, no problem. I'm well aware that Yasuke was, right, a samurai or a retainer for Oda Nobunaga. But the only sources we have show us that Oda Nobunaga and people like him saw people like Yasuke as a novelty. Look at this dude I've got. Look how silly he looks in this armor. Anyway, moving on to the business of the day. That's all Yasuke was. Because if he was anything else, they would have written about it. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now. He was a curiosity that was in Japan at one stage that we know little about because he didn't do very much. Right? He was a big dude who may have been okay at bashing people over the head as like a bouncer or something. He got Oda Nobunaga or somebody in his retinues took one look at him, thought, ha, that's funny, slap him in armor, and let's take him with us. And that's it. And they built this entire dude from that. Which is why I get... Listen, if you're Japanese, and I know I've got Japanese viewers after the Ghost of Tsushima video, thank you for watching. If you're Japanese, I can only apologise on behalf of the Western world for the bullshit that we're putting you through with this nonsense. Why, oh why, oh why did they feel the need to inject this into a game about feudal Japan? You could even have Yasuke in the game if you really want as a companion character. I'd be okay with that. It'd still be like diversity nonsense, but you know, yeah, he technically was around when Oda Nobunaga was there. We don't know whether he did anything because very likely he didn't do anything or fight in any battles or do anything of note. But he can be there, no problem. But have your main character be a Japanese samurai and a Japanese ninja. Have them be actual people in the setting who would have been there, who would have been leading armies, who would have been killing people, who would have been at the center of everything going on, right? Having this dude be there just flies in the face of all of that. Absolutely all of that. And here's the other thing as well. I used to really like a movie called The Last Samurai, and I still do. I still think The Last Samurai is a pretty good game, pretty good movie. The thing is that as a white dude, I still look at The Last Samurai sometimes and kind of cringe. Because, you know, Tom Cruise goes in there and saves the day and you know, becomes a samurai, and he's the only one who lives at the end, and he's the hero of the story. And I kind of cringe at that. I was like, well, you know, it makes me feel a bit icky. And that's me, you know, and that's me. I can look at it and go, that makes me feel a little bit icky. You know, it should have been a Japanese character. But the story they were telling in Last Samurai was basically Last of the Mohicans, right? Or Dances with Wolves, but in Japan. That's essentially what they were doing. And instead of having... What they didn't have was Tom Cruise walking into a Japanese village and murdering everybody, right? What they didn't have was Tom Cruise walking in to Japan and just, you know, beating them at every single thing that Japanese, you know, ancient Japanese feudal warriors were good at, right? No, he went over there and got his fucking ass kicked all the time. And he actually ingratiated himself to the Japanese culture of the time and started thinking, do you know what? I'm a raging alcoholic and this is actually good for me. This mindfulness and this, I can meditate and I can train and I can eat well and I can forge real companionship with these real people that are really cool. And I have peace of mind and peace of life here. And you know what? God damn it. I'm going to fight for this. I know I don't come from here, but I don't care. I'm going to fight for this. And I don't care whether you think I'm some white savior or not. I don't care. I'm going to fight for this. The only misstep that movie made is that he lived at the end. He should have died at the end there. He should have died with the samurai in peace. He shouldn't have been left to have his happy ending. Because the samurai didn't get one. In real life either. And that's another thing. They stuck to historical principles. The samurai don't get a happy ending. They don't. Right? And one of the best lines from that movie is when the Emperor says to Tom Cruise about the main samurai character who has tragically died at this point, who used to be his master, he says, "Tell me how he died." And Tom Cruise says, "I will tell you how he lived." That is Bushido, that is samurai shit through and through. And that's how you take somebody from outside of a culture and you bring them into Japan and you tell a story about that character in that culture. They respect it, they ingratiate themselves towards it, and they find the positives in it. And they fight for those positives, right? And let's be honest, Katsumoto, Ken Watanabe, he's the main character in Last Samurai. Tom Cruise is there, and the story's told through his eyes, But the main character is Katsumoto, right? And then we have this. And then we have this. Yasuke walking into villages, burning them down, being the biggest badass to, you know, rap music out of the gills. This is what we get now. It's fucking nonsense. I hate it, and it shouldn't happen. And, you know, I'm not going to buy this game. This is the first game in a long time about a period that I like that I will not buy. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to play it. It's not for me. Just by the trailers, about what Ubisoft have said, with their own posturing and their own constant virtue signaling about why Yasuke's in this game and this and that and the other. No, fuck off. I'm done. I'm done with these people, and I'm done with these people who do these kind of things in games like this. What do you think? Have I been too overboard? I don't know. But even from a gameplay perspective, do you really think the blocky ass, stupid combat of Assassin's Creed gonna stand up to Ghost of Tsushima? I don't. You know, the floaty, teleporty, spammy combat of Assassin's Creed. Get out. Just get out, right? I've had enough of these people. Get them out of here. I love you all long time. I'll speak to you with some more Dragon Age pretty soon, and have a wonderful rest of your day. This was fucking nonsense. See you later. Bye now.